So when we were looking at various points um, to coming out to Heidelberg and heard of Heidelberg and had conversations where Heidelberg was involved, we heard a lot of things about Heidelberg, and rarely was any of it good. And um, I felt it was necessary to share some of this for a number of reasons. So two families dropped us off stuff yesterday. Once I wasn't there, they dropped off some goodies, homemade jams and stuff. So kind. And then last night, I guess when I was sleeping, a gentleman came out in the wind and rain and dropped off a bag. And then this morning came back out on Christmas morning in the wind and rain to make sure that I had got it. And his card that was left for each of us, we each got a card and a reasonably large sum of money. He said, "Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I've seen your boys around the dock this summer, and they are always so well mannered and respectful. The older was certainly doing a great job looking after his brother. You're doing an amazing job raising them. I really admire that. Keep up the great job. If y'all ever need anything, please don't hesitate to ask." And then he signed it. And um, that just kind of summarizes up all the way that everybody has treated us since we've been here. People told us coming out here, or before we came out here, that um, they get drunk out here and will be really abusive to white people, and um, that they just kind of have the mindset that a lot of us hear of with Native communities, not wanting white men around and having resentment towards white men, rightfully so. I think any resentment that the natives in particular have to whites all over the country is justified, but um, I have not experienced any of that since we've been here. Nobody has spoken an ill word to us. People are just people everywhere. We experience the same stuff getting ready to go down into Mexico. um, oh, sorry, a lot going on here. I believe I was talking about Mexico and how everybody was basically saying that um, Mexico is really dangerous and the people down there hate whites, and you'll die, your kids will get kidnapped, and all this crazy kind of stuff. And I wasn't taking an unreasonable risk. I had no idea what I was doing. There wasn't a lot available on at the time. I didn't really talk to anybody that had been down there. Um, I just believed that God was telling me that that's where we were to go, and through years of prayer and due process, it seemed to be confirmed, and so that's where we allowed God to lead us. And I'm glad I did. It was a beautiful experience, and God definitely had for us to be in that area. It was God led. He orchestrated all that together, and it was a pretty powerful journey. And um, uh, a lot of people had heard things about Mexico that were speaking about Mexico that really didn't know what they were talking about. And when we went down there, I mean, people went out of their way in many areas at many times to make sure that we knew that we were loved. And that's just kind of how it is in some of these areas where people are more dependent on each other than they are the system and the government. Where there is no system and government, or there's less of it, people are more dependent on each other um, for needs and help. And so in those environments, it's just normal, like it was back in the day, for a traveler to just be welcomed in, and you treat them with the very best, as the very best. And that's what a lot of our experience was down in Mexico. People just going out of their way to make sure that we were cared for, because that's just what you do. Um, and it's kind of the same in this environment up here in Alaska, but Hydaburg um, uh, they're constructed on a little bit of a different foundation, and that's obvious in their community. They're very supportive. They're very helpful. They're very serious about making sure that everybody has what they need. And while they're still going through their own struggles and difficulties and have their own obstacles, they've been very serious about making sure that we are respected and that we are cared for and that we are not dragged into any drama that's going on in a community, as all communities have their stuff that are going on. Um, we've never I don't think anybody in Hydaburg has ever spoken a bad word to us or been anything other than kind and welcoming. I don't think, as far as I can remember in the last 4 months of living here, I think everybody has been very kind, very respectful, and nobody has really. I don't think there's one person that's spoken an ill word to us or given us a weird look or anything. I mean, people literally just go out of their way just to get to know you, to talk to you, to let you know you're welcome here, to make sure you're okay and make sure they know you and make sure opportunity for relationship is offered and everything. So they've been really great, but it really means a lot to me because I hadn't planned on being in town at this point in my life. Uh, Over the summer, we went out in the woods so I could get sober again, and I think the woods is just a really healthy place to be. Anyways, I think you can have the best of both worlds. You can be engaged in society in the ways that are appropriate when it's necessary, but also being out in the woods with God and the basics is extremely healthy. And I found it to be good for the boys and I uh, at various points. But we came back into town around July 4th, and I was sober and I was doing well, and things happened with the situation with my wife, and I allowed it to. I just started making some of the same mistakes that I made in the first place. When my wife and I came together, I started struggling with some of the same insecurities, so the same difficulties. There's some new problems at that point. It was tough to deal with, and I chose to let it break me back down, and so I gave in again, and we that she decided to get file for the divorce at that time, and um, it's really hard to try to summarize all this stuff. I don't think that I can really give a clear picture yet because there's a lot still going on. This situation isn't done yet, and I don't really know enough about a lot that's going on to. I just don't feel it's appropriate to share a lot of that stuff yet. And so it's weird trying to summarize this. Just know that things are not as they seem. Um, Things are not as they seem. So um, we once I found out she was filing for the divorce, I just couldn't. I was losing control. I I'm not strong enough to be, as an alcoholic and anyone that's going through recovery. When you first are trying to get sober or whatever, you just remove yourself from the people in the environment that are offering such obvious temptations. Like, don't go to the bar if you're trying to get sober, and um, you stay away from the people that you'd use with if they're still using and all that. Well, I'm just society in general is just not a healthy place to be, and it's not really conducive to a healthy relationship with God. If you go out in a healthy environment and get established, and then go into society for a time period and engage and try to be helpful and have relationships, that's one thing. But when you're trying to get established and figure out what is true and who am I and who is God and what really matters in this life, society is really, really not a good place to start that and try to begin that. That's been my experience. But uh, so so at that point, I was losing control, and because of my childhood, I have a lot of difficulties and insecurities and low self-esteem, and these last few years have been really hard on me. And so that time period, I just started falling apart, and I was trying to hold it together. I just couldn't, and I decided I was just gonna go out and get away from everybody. I was tired of people. I was tired of relationships. I was tired of trying. I was tired of failing, and I was starting to fail again, and I was going in that direction. So to save my family and myself from the climax of what that could have been. We went out in the woods. I knew at that point I was not. If she was going to get the divorce, which was supposed to happen on September 1st, um, I didn't want to be there for it. I was worried about what would happen because I was just falling apart. I was not in a good state of mind. And so I wasn't planning on coming back. I was going to be out there for the winter. I was going to just focus on my relationship with God and the boys and trying to get a solid foundation so we could meet whatever life brought after this season. And um, that's God. God had different plans on the day that the divorce was supposed to happen. Um, as far as I understood, God brought us out of the woods. Something really dramatic was going on, circumstances outside of my control, and God brought us back in on the very day that the divorce didn't happen, that it was supposed to. And so I began going in that direction and trying to understand what God had for us and why He brought us out and what He's trying to show me, what He's trying to tell me. And um, I couldn't have done it in any other environment. I'm just not one of the reasons that we frequently go to the woods, besides the fact that it's just a good place to be. um, One of the reasons is to protect myself. I'm just not strong enough to be around all these influences. I love. I would rather. Yeah, whatever. I'm just weak, and we all are really. The social media and the entertainment opportunities. We love to be stimulated. We love to feel good. We love to have all that society has to offer that makes us feel secure and comfortable and okay. And it just takes place of God in our life in a big way. And for me, I'm just a lot weaker, or because of the things that I went through, a lot of the pressures, not only may I just be weaker, but a lot of the pressures on me are just different, and I can't handle it. At least at this point in my life, I'm not strong enough to be around all these temptations all the time, and I just don't really want to be around people. I'm tired. I don't feel secure. I don't feel my self esteem is just destroyed, and I'm trying to heal and get to a point where I can be okay to be able to engage with everyone else. And Hydaburg, while they've been very respectful of us having our space and being left alone, they've also gone out of their way to make sure that we know we always have somewhere to go. We're loved, we're cared for, and they've just showered us with love. And everybody, it's not. I mean, people I don't even know have given us like that card. I don't even know this family, and they've given us money and food, and other people just randomly in the store give us money and food. It's not like I'm asking for anything. We are okay, and I let everyone just making sure we're okay. And I'm like, look, we have resources, we have food on the boat, we have everything that we need. The only thing that I need is just healing. So I've let everybody know we don't need anything, but people keep just showering us with love and with gifts and with food and money and whatever else. And we're so grateful for it and wanted to make sure that not only would it be a big deal if nothing was going on in our life and people were just being kind here, but I didn't want to be around people anymore. There's some people that really needed love that hurt my heart at various points in our journey, and my spirit is just broken. My heart is shattered, and I'm trying to heal. And I didn't trust any of these environments to do that for me. uh, I wanted to go away from people to make sure that I could heal because people aren't helping with that. And it's not, whatever. It is what it is. It's not like yeah, whatever. Uh, but being here in Hydaburg, if we were going to be anywhere around people right now, this is one of the very few places that we would be, and it's why God led us here, because I just couldn't handle anything else. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Um, um, I'm just fragile right now. So um, when we, uh, the card meant a lot to me, because there is nobody righteous. Like there's no men of God that are the way that we see that, and the way that we idolize some of these pastors and people is just not right. There's no good people. The definition of good is morally pure. There's nobody that is righteous in and of themselves. There's nobody that is to be put on a pedestal of the only hero in this story is Jesus. Uh, there's people that have really done a great job giving their lives to him and letting God show us better opportunities of what's available to us, but these people are just like us. The only hero is Jesus. And so, you know, I'm grateful for some of the things that God has blessed us with, and that some of the things that God has enabled me to do, but it's not of myself. Like I don't, we have to have context. In light of God, there are no good fathers. There are no, I mean, when we look at us in light of God, when we have God's righteousness and his glory illuminating the truth about our existence, none of us are good prayers and spiritual warriors and fathers or husbands or wives, or none of us are good anything. We're all really, really, really bad off, more so than what we realize. And one second. Okay. Oh, what in the world does that mean? Um, Still trying to figure out this computer. So, um, uh, in light of man, it's easy for us to say, wow, that guy really has it going on. Wow, look at her. She's really better than a lot of us. That's really not helpful. We're supposed to, that's what happens with the Pharisee and the tax collector at the temple. The Pharisee is looking at other people and he's saying, thank God that I'm not like them. And looking at other people in judgment to try to figure out, how am I doing? Am I doing okay? Look at these other people. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good off. Those people are really bad. Those people are maybe a little better than me. I'll go in that direction, but I'm doing pretty good. The tax collector allows God to show him his life, and he is just broken and he is humbled. And regardless of how well off you think you are, the righteousness of God will show you the truth about yourself in your life. And it's not pretty. We are not pretty. The closer that you get to God, the more you are just devastated over yourself and your life and your sin and what you've done. And thank God that in that shame and guilt, God has provided us a way through Jesus Christ to be freed from all that and reconciled and cleaned and restored. Because sin has really just ruined us all, and we need Jesus. And that's what the principles of Christmas are supposed to be about, people have interpreted. And so uh, I say all that to say, I really appreciated just the affirmation, saying you're doing a really good job. I admire what I see going on here at this in this area of your life. It's not me. God has given me um, that that blessing, and like recently, I haven't even hardly been I've been doing very few. The last 2 weeks I'm just getting slammed with depression, first of all because holidays are tough for me, but second of all because I miss my wife and our family. I'm really sad. I feel like such a failure. I can't go into all of our stuff there because it's not over yet. I don't know what I can share and what I can't share, and really, I don't even really hardly know what in the world has happened because nobody's really told me a lot. But I haven't found out a lot of what happened when my wife returned until way after the fact, and there's still a lot that I don't even know. But um, uh, we were just trying to protect our kids, and we did a lot of we were doing the right thing the right way in the beginning. We were really trying hard and trying to involve outside help to mediate and help us, because all these we really started to get isolated because of a lot of other people's decisions. And the more that things were heating up, the more challenging both my wife and I have unhealed trauma. And we were already trying to get help. We were already asking for help. We didn't want any of that to play out the way that was. We were trying to do the right thing the right way. And there was just a lot of people that were supposed to be walking with us that were turning their backs on us and betraying us and hurting the situation more than they were helping. And instead of continuing in good things, we made some bad decisions with good intentions, but good intentions get you how far, to what end? The ends do not justify the means to get there. And if I could go back, I'd do it differently. But at that point, that's where we were at, and we struggled and we made some bad decisions. And I was the head of the house. She did a great job submitting to my authority as the man. And while communication was not one of our strong suits, and um, it was just overwhelming, and it was too much, and it was just the perfect disaster, the perfect storm. And uh, unfortunately, I made decisions trying to protect my family and these kids. Um, you know, they loved me and I loved them, and I really was trying to give them good things. I would have, I lost everything for them. God gave it back to me. I lost my kids. I lost her kids. I lost her. They got taken away from us, and we got arrested, and put in jail. And I should have been there a long time, but God had mercy and dropped the charges. And uh, I was just trying to do the right thing, and was getting tired. I was getting weary. I was getting persecuted. I was alone, and I was not in a good state of mind. And I was trying to be, and I was trying to get help. And a lot of times the help was even stabbing us in the back, and it was just too much. And I failed, regardless of all the details and all the all the different aspects of that context that do matter. At the end of the day, I failed my family. I failed our kids. I failed my wife, and um, this is where we're at now because of my decisions. For better, for worse, I started swinging and did the best that I could. But there's plenty I would do differently. So I just feel like a huge pile of trash, especially with her being so upset and directing all of her anger at me. Some of it's justified, most of it's not, it seems. Um, but she's just very upset, and she seems to hate me. She just is very brokenhearted, and has a lot of very intense feelings, and she doesn't want me anymore. She doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't care about me anymore. That's how I feel, and I feel like a pile of trash. So that's really all I hear right now, especially with what just happened here recently. Just kind of triggered all of that. Something happened with her, and just kind of brought all that right back up in my face, and I'm trying to deal with that the right way. And so far, it's going well, and people have been really helping with that. God has blessed these kids. God has blessed us going through this. And just recently, I've lost weight. I'm hardly eating right now. I'm being hit with some heavy stuff. I don't feel very good about myself. And um, just this family and their kindness, it's been the whole community. All these people have been very kind, in little moments like this where God is providing through them, and not saying, Derek, you're such a great guy, but hey, you're doing well. Keep going. Keep trying. You've made mistakes, but don't stop. Be encouraged. Move forward. Move through it. You can do this. I can do all things through Christ who is my strength, but continue the effort, keep putting forth the effort, and don't give up. And there is fruit. There is fruit. Although there's a lot of failure and destruction and difficult things that have happened, uh, partially because of my decisions, there's also good things still happening, and God will have the last say, and it's not over yet. And so God's just been speaking encouragement through a lot of these people. um, and I really appreciated that. I admire that. They said, um, thank you. I'm trying really hard, and I'm not pleased with where we're at. I'm really trying to get my family back to a place in whatever way that's going to look like of good things, because that's what I want for my family, and I was ready to die for my family. Truly, the situation that we were in was really dramatic, and I knew what I was facing. I knew what could happen in that situation, and with some of the weird stuff that was going on with everybody that was involved, I don't know what I should and shouldn't share of that, but it was just really over the top, and I was ready to die for my family, um, and and I proved that, and God honored that while still spanking me for some of the decisions that I made that were not appropriate, and I wanted good things for my wife and our children, and I want good things for my wife and our children, and on the way there, it's very hard. I feel very discouraged. I feel very inadequate. I feel very low. I feel I don't want to take care of myself. I wish someone would come in and take care of these kids, and I could just live like the pile of trash that I feel like I am. I'd rather just live drunk all the time, and that's not really true. What I would rather have happen is our family be reconciled and restored, and us be a part of a healthy Christian community and just have good experiences. But the mountain that I feel that I have to climb to get anywhere close to that, even if things don't turn out the way that I hope, they will still turn out good if you continue to fight the good fight. I'm just tired. I'm so tired. I don't feel good about myself right now, and I'd rather just live in misery and treat myself like I feel like I deserve to be treated, just sick and drunk and throwing up, and just I would rather just be on the street in the elements, because that's how I feel. Um, uh, I feel defeated, and I'm sad, and I'd rather just wallow in self pity rather than picking myself up and being the father that I need to be the husband that I need to be, and I don't feel good, and so I really appreciate these people, because they've continued to play that voice in our life right now that's just saying, take it easy. It's okay. You're going to be all right. You're doing well. There's fruit here. There's good things here. You can continue forward, and you should. And we care about you, and we don't want you to give up. And we admire what's going on here in your life. And it is God. It is God. I've only said yes to God, and He's done things in our life. It's not of my. If it was up to me, things would be much worse, because I am human like the rest of us, and I um, am a sheep in need of a shepherd. And God has been that good shepherd in our life and has brought about the good things that are to be seen. Anything good in our life, truly biblically good in our life, has been God. And glory be to God, none of it is of my own doing. All I've done in the times that I've done it is say yes. A lot of the time I've said no. And even in those periods where I've been stubborn and rebellious and difficult and deserve much worse than what we have, my goodness. Like at the time that we got arrested, I was already I have a record, I have a past. And we were being arrested for kidnapping her own kids as we were trying to protect them from the junk going on in the world and in that situation. And I should still be in prison for that. But God, you know, there was a lot going on in that situation, and we were not the we were trying to help these kids, and there was a lot of people that some of these people were actually trying to help these kids in that situation, but a lot of them were definitely not, and were definitely hurting these kids' situation. And the situation with her daughter was very serious, and we were doing all the right things in the beginning, to help her daughter in particular. Uh, but her son was going through some stuff as well. We were just trying to help. We were trying to get these kids a good situation, and we fought so hard for that and failed. And the failure is my own, and my wife has had to deal with a lot. It's not like, she made these decisions with me. It's not like I was on my own she's tried to make it more my fault than it is, but uh, she's had to. If I could, I would have just switched spots with her. I would have had her here with her children, and preferably mine as well, and my kids not have to go through the junk, as they've been through plenty. But I would have just gladly stayed in jail. If I could have just done things differently in the first place, I would have. But my goodness, when we were going through that, I got her the attorney first. I didn't even have an attorney right off the bat when I was facing prison time. And gladly, if I could have just stayed in there and she could have gotten out and got my kids out of foster care, I would have done that. I faced that whole situation and would have gladly. I knew what the possibilities were, and I just wanted to help, and I was willing to do anything for them. Uh, I just wish I would have stuck it out a little bit longer in that situation rather than jumping the gun. But I would have gladly, if I could trade her positions and just taken all that on myself, I gladly would have. I gladly would have. That's not how it happened though, and so I'm upset and I'm sad and I'm struggling. And this community has been so nice and so respectful and so helpful, and continue to be. And it would have meant a lot to anybody, but you have no idea the things that we've been through overall since I began this journey 10 years ago, but especially the last few years. It's really over the top. At some point, someday, I may have the opportunity, if God allows it, to really put it in perspective, because it just glorifies God and really is a beautiful testimony of God's goodness and his faithfulness and his righteousness and his long suffering. And, you know, God has been so good to us. And it's only because of him that we are as we are today, and we're doing as well as we have. And there's a lot of people that have said a lot of things and misrepresented um, what we've done and what's happened in our life. And I hope that at some point the truth is able to come out with all of that. But until then, this community has been very respectful and very kind, and really nothing bad to say about these people. While they are people and they're going through their own difficulties, they have been so nice and so kind to us. So don't uh, different things happen to different people in different ways. You come out as a white man or anybody else into Hydaburg acting like an idiot, and you'll probably get humbled. And that's the case anywhere. You go into Chicago or, uh, certain parts of Michoacan in Mexico, or, you go into certain environments, or any environment, really being stupid, and you'll get dealt with. But if in most cases, if you're just wise and reasonable and respectful, no matter where you're at, people will treat you in a different way than they would have otherwise. So, I got robbed, or people tried to rob us in Mexico, and people tried to rob us in America. I didn't get shot in Mexico. I did get shot in Ohio. Like, people are crazy everywhere. People are just people. We're all hurt and broken, and we all need Jesus Christ. And you're going to run into people that are hurt and broken anywhere that you go. You're also going to run into people that are just trying and that care about you anywhere you go. Hurt people, but there's also um, people, the hurt people that hurt people are still just people. And everybody uh, is created in the image of God and is under the reality that God has put us in, that we all matter. You have significance. I have significance. We are special, and we have value, and we all struggle to recognize and believe that in the way that it's meant to be. So we're really grateful for Hydaburg, and we're really grateful for Craig, and we're really grateful for people everywhere that have been so kind to us and so loving to us. This is no different than anywhere we've ever been. People showering us with gifts and money and necessities. And I've told everyone everywhere, like, we're okay. We've been pretty well off for a long time. Anytime that we actually need help, I'll ask for it. But people have just always, everywhere that we've went, been very kind and going out of their way to care for us. The thing that I really need the most at this point in my life is healing in my heart. I need restoration. I need rejuvenation. And God is bringing that about in my heart. I don't want to be without my wife and our family. I don't want, if that's going to be my life, I can't imagine it right now. God is working on my heart and putting my focus on Him and dealing with the parts of my heart that needed to be dealt with that helped to create a difficult situation for our family. And right now, while that's happening, there's highs and there's lows. And in the lows, it's really low. It's really hard. I want to be on the street, drunk and sick and just distracted in my self pity and wallowing and all that, not having to deal with reality and not having to deal with my past, my painful past, and myself. Who am I? And the things that I have to do to change. It's not, God changes us, but we have to choose that. And in that process, it is very difficult and painful because we are prideful and we are human wanting to take the path of the least resistance. And I'd rather be numb and medicated and alone and a bag of trash on the side of the street because that's how I feel. And people have been very kind and helpful, encouraging me not to do that and letting me know that we're loved, we're cared for, and that's not the way to go. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Thank you all for your kindness and for your care and your concern. And I think it's just important to be real. I don't ever try to paint a picture that's not there. And I think it's extremely healing for us to just be honest and vulnerable. Kids are hurting kids. I gotta take off. Thanks for everything, guys. We love you guys, and it's not over yet. We're pushing forward. We're going strong. Uh, I'm trying so hard. The greatest thing that you could do for our family right now is prayers. Um, Man, God is good, and no matter what, He will provide. Things are not going to turn out the way that I see in my mind and the way that I see it, but it will turn out the way that it needs to turn out, and everybody's needs uh, can be met through the way that God chooses to do things. And I would, if I could just, and if I, and oh yeah, yeah, I miss my family. So enjoy yours today and pray that tomorrow will be a better day for ours. And God bless you all.